to show you how to crochet this flower from Melanie Ham. We're gonna start by working on the center of the flower, and then we're gonna be doing the 8 petals, which consist of clusters of 4 stitches. Okay, so we're gonna start doing a magic ring, and the way we're gonna do this is by taking our short end of the yarn, wrapping it around our fingers, and our goal is to make a loop with this long tail. So once we got that loop, since it's loose, we have to hold it with the rest of our hand and try to get yarn through that loop to secure it, and that's how we get our magic ring. Alright, so we have our magic ring here. Now we're gonna do 8 single crochets into that ring. Okay, so let me make sure my yarn is not pulling, because you know we don't want to have it in a super tight tension. Alright, so just gonna go through the loop, yarn over, and then yarn over, and go through those 2 loops again. Then we're gonna do 8 single crochets for our 8 petals. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then don't worry if your ring keeps getting bigger, because we're going to pull on that short end and it's gonna close. I have my 8 single crochets, so now we're gonna pull on the short end to close up our magic ring. Alright, it's looking beautiful. So now what we have to do is fully close that circle. The way we're gonna do that is by doing a slip stitch. So we're gonna look for our first stitch here, you know, that V. We're gonna go underneath both of the loops of the V. Take some yarn and go through those 2 loops. Right, so now we have our flower center completed. So I want to recommend you leave this tail till the very end. You know, some people usually like to hiding their tails as they go to avoid having to do that at the end, but for this particular project I recommend you leave it until the end, because as we continue working into those stitches it might open up again. So now what we're gonna do is we're going to cut off this yarn, because we're going to work on our petals. After you cut it, put it through the loop to secure it, and there we go. This doesn't have to be perfect. We're practicing, enjoying ourselves, and the thing with these little flowers, they're quick to do. So by the time you do a couple, you're gonna have the process down, okay? So don't worry about it being perfect. So our magic ring is all done. To teach you how to identify each stitch, because I know that can be confusing when we're starting to crochet, right? So remember, each stitch looks like a V, and it's composed of 2 loops. So we're going to be working underneath both of those loops. We're going to be going through that space. All right? Okay, so let's just start connecting our thread. So what I'm just doing is I put my hook through one of the stitches, and I'm taking my yarn and pulling it through where I went in. That's all I have done so far. Now I'm going to take my long end and pull it through that loop. And that's it. I just connected my new color to the piece. This that we just did doesn't count as any stitch or point, okay? This is just me connecting the color. Now to start, we're gonna do 3 chains. 1, 2, and 3. Okay? And so what we're gonna do next is we're gonna go through that same spot I just went in, and I'm gonna go through that spot 3 more times, all right? Because these 3 chains are gonna count as our first stitch. If it's not making sense right now, don't worry about it. As we go on, you'll see what I mean by that, okay? So yarn over, go through that same stitch, pull some yarn out. You're supposed to have 3 loops at this point, okay? Yarn over and go through only 2 of those loops. See, now it's taking shape. We have what it appears to be 2 stitches. We need 4 to make the first petal, okay? So again, yarn over. We're gonna go through that same stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. All right, 1 more. I know it's tight, but don't be afraid to pull those together, those 3 together, yarn over, go through that same stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. All right, we have our first cluster of 4, okay? So once you have those 4 stitches, you're gonna take some yarn and pull it through all of those. Look at how beautiful that is. Okay, now, like I mentioned before, these petals are all connected. So we're gonna work on that connection. That connection consists of 2 chains. So we're gonna chain 1, chain 2. Right, perfect. So we just worked on that stitch. Now we're going to this next one, okay? So again, yarn over, go through that stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, so we're gonna be repeating this step until we have 4 stitches. Whoops, see what I did there? I kept on pulling my loops, but that's okay. See, it's an easy fix. You can just go back, okay? We have 2 points. Can push them together, yarn over, go into that same stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, so I want to pause right here because you remember when we first did our first petal, when we had 4 loops on the hook, we went through all of them and finished off our petal, right? But remember, that's gonna be the case for the first petal only, because as of right now, we have only 3 stitches for the petal, and this one is from the previous petal to connect it over. So basically what that means is on your first petal, you're gonna pull through all of them when you have 4 loops. But from the second on forward, you're gonna go through all of them when you have 5 loops. I wanted to clarify that because when I first learned how to do this flower, I was confused by that a little bit. So let me explain to you why. So remember, each petal consists of a cluster of 4, right? And you may say like, Jay, but you have 5 loops on your hook right now, and you are correct. But see, these 4 are from the petal, and this one is from the previous petals to connect it over. So Now that we have our cluster completed, we're gonna go through all of those. See? Now we chain 2, and we're gonna continue doing this forward. I'm gonna do another one with you, okay? Yarn over, one more. Sometimes it feels a little tight in there, but trust me, they all fit in the same stitch. All right, see, we have a cluster of 4 plus the loop from the previous petals. Beautiful. All right, then we chain 2. All right, so let's just continue doing that onto each stitch, and I'll meet you a little bit more further ahead. Crochet is a very forgiving process in that if you make a mistake, let's say I made a mistake on that stitch, you just take the hook out and pull the yarn, okay? So it's okay, you know, mistakes are part of the process. If we make a mistake, we just keep trying, you know? I know sometimes it can feel discouraging, but trust me, everyone makes mistakes, even the pros. So you just try again. And if I'm honest, sometimes those mistakes can take us to interesting places. Like sometimes we might create something by mistake and then realize like, that looks interesting. I might want to try that purposefully in another project, you know? So just wanted to tell you that. Please don't get discouraged with this process. Just keep trying. So let's recap. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We need 1 more, right? Don't worry about this opening up. We're gonna close it at the end and clean it up, all right? So I finished that petal. I'm gonna chain 2, then yarn over, go in, yarn over, come out, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, and then let's just continue making those stitches. All right, so we have our 4 stitches for our petal. The 5th loop is from the previous petals. We're gonna go through all of them. Chain 1 and chain 2. All right, we're almost there. Okay, so now remember how we started our very first petal with chain 3, right? And that counted as the first stitch of that petal. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna slip stitch with that 3rd chain. So let's go ahead and count 1, 2, 3. And just like we've been doing, we're gonna go underneath both loops, yarn over, pull through everything, okay? And you did it. You got your very first flower. I mean, I don't know if it's your first, but if it is, that's very exciting, and I'm very happy that you did it with me. So then you can cut off your yarn and secure it. And lastly, let's just pull through our magic ring tail. So the last step is to use a needle to hide in these little tails. Unless you might want to do something more, I don't know, experimental and just leave them like that. I think that's cute too.